Welcome to Off the Scale, the podcast where we dive deep into the journeys of the world's top short-term rental property managers. Join us as we uncover their secrets to scaling success, from pivotal milestones to the lessons learned through mistakes and triumphs. Hosted by Scale family members Damien Sheridan, Gianpaolo Vairo, and Louise Brace. Off the Scale reveals what drives these leaders each day and the indispensable tools that propelled them to the top. Tune in for inspiring stories, actionable insights, and the ultimate blueprint for scaling your own short-term rental business.
Welcome back to Off the Scale, the official Scale podcast. As always, we are diving deep into property management best practices and best kept secrets, brought to you from some of the industry's top players. This is Gianpaolo Vairo, co-founder at Scale, and in this episode, we are honored to have with us David Gidet from Aravis International. Welcome, David. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Hi, Gianpaolo.
So just to start with, presenting your business, what you're doing, where you base, what kind of properties, and the most important thing and the most important point for our listener is what kind of guests you have, because this is going to be a really important, key to understand what is your business.
Absolutely. Yeah, so Aravis International, we're based in the northern French Alps. We set up the business in 2009, roughly 2010, and we look after about 80 properties, all roughly 3-4 star, varied size. So the smallest is a 1-bedroom, 4 people, and then the biggest property we manage is 28 with 8 bedrooms. So quite a varied portfolio. Individual chalets, half chalets, and apartments. So all quite evenly spread. The resort that we operate in is called Le Gran-Bornand, and it's a family resort. So the clientele is mainly families. That's our sort of niche market. The village is not extra well known, which is quite nice because it's not a mega resort either for the winter or the summer. And so it attracts people who are coming for a bit of an authentic ambiance of a mountain resort. But it's quite established, and it's quite vibrant. It has lots of things on offer, and so that's the clientele we have, mainly French. So it's quite a French resort. Statistically, 15% foreigners, of which the British, Belgian, Dutch figure mostly. And because, as you can tell, I'm British. Actually, my dad was French, so I'm French and English. We historically have attracted more of the British crowd than our local competitors. So we probably have more foreigners than the local agencies, but it's still very much a French resort.
This is a bonus track question. Say, these days, because of the climate change, would you say this was a wise decision to open a mountain resort instead of, property management mostly are focused on the city center, big cities, and there are very few property management in Europe that are exclusively focused on mountain and this kind of properties. Do you feel that this is something that is, good for you at the moment, for sure, but is something that in the future is going to be a trend? So people willing to stay in a mountain resort instead of beach resort or city center, property management properties, let's say.
It was not a master plan to start off with. So we started managing the properties here a bit by accident. I'm not a business genius, and I didn't come up with this master plan to set up a business. No, it all happened by accident through contacts, working for British owners who were managing their properties for tax. There was a little tax loophole in France that allows you to get the VAT back on the construction of your chalet if you offer it up for, it's called para-hôtelier, so hotel type services to complement the lack of hotels in these mountain resorts. So they give a tax incentive to owners who will promise to offer their property for rental. So that's how we started. We were nabbed by these British owners who'd set up an owners club to manage their chalets to get the VAT back. And so they need people like me or other workers to do all of the servicing. So we started off servicing chalets. And because we're also French, where they struggled with the bookings and dealing with mostly French people with the very thick accents or very particular demands, we were called on beyond the service side to actually help with the bookings. And as the years went by, they were actually starting to do the work of an estate agency, which they weren't licensed to do. And so my brother happened to have studied property and was eligible for a property license. And so we took over their management business, rental business, and we, from just servicing the chalets, we then started renting them out in our own name. So we started in 2004 doing all the servicing and the rentals in 2010 in our own name. And so, yes, it's not a master plan, but I think it was a happy accident, as a lot of meetings are. You meet somebody and things just evolve naturally. And because we're neither a high altitude resort, we're fragile when it comes to snow cover, but we're also more at an advantage for all of spring, summer, autumn, because the high resorts, they're well known for the skiing, but when the skiing ends, there's nothing to do. Whereas a mid-altitude resort is reasonably good for skiing, but also extremely good for hiking, very accessible. So within a 30-minute drive to Lake Annecy, within an hour's drive to Geneva, an hour's drive to Chamonix, and well connected as well, because it's not high up in the mountains, so it doesn't take long to get to the resort. So all of these factors do help, and I think the long-term prospects could be quite positive, because yes, if snowing or the snow records are not necessarily going to be good moving forwards, you can back up on other activities. You're not completely reliant on skiing. So far, the model is showing promise, and they did a little study for the village in terms of snow cover for the coming 30, 40 years. And we fare quite well because the slopes are north facing. So even this year, we didn't have much fresh snow, but the resort closed on the 15th of April as it was planned. So pretty good for a low altitude resort of 1,300 meters to 2,000. So yeah, I'm pretty confident that we're in a good spot to attract travelers who are probably going to escape summer heat, congestion, overcrowding, all these things that any other resort or any other destination possibly suffers from. If people want some peace and quiet, the mountains is quite a good spot to go for it.
Possibly I'm going to be one of your customers, because I'm in love with this kind of accommodation and this kind of alternative destination, especially in summer, because I'm a mountain biker. I really like to spend the time in the nature, and this kind of resort are really the sweet spot. You have everything. You have good weather, you're surrounded by nature, and you have the same services, possibly even slow living, especially if you're coming from a big city like me. So this is the perfect combination. Yes, I feel this is a really positive outcome for the future for you guys.
Yeah.
So going back to the scaling operation, what was the initial ambition for you when you started the business? So what is the outlook you were looking for when you were planning to scale up your business?
It's gone through a few phases. So we started off as a very, very small family affair. Myself, my brothers and sisters, my mum used to pitch in to do the changeovers. And when it was that size, we didn't think about scaling really. We just tried to make ourselves efficient, get the job done. And then through life circumstances, my sisters and people move on and you have to start hiring people. So then that was the first scale that we did, is getting cleaning teams, so outsourcing. So we then changed the way we managed the properties, and then new properties come on board, so you could absorb the new ones because it's 1, it's 2, it's 3 years, and then it gets to a point where it does get quite large. Staffing issues also, because you get used to a process, but when somebody new arrives, you realize that actually you could improve the process because it's very archaic. It's very sort of mum and dad business. It's just bits of paper, spreadsheets. Back then we didn't have WhatsApp groups. It was so basic. But yeah, it's the scaling process has been gradual. And then a big step for us was we sold a property or a piece of land that a developer has built serviced apartments on. And because of this experience we have with this tax regime, the local town hall accepted the project on the basis that we would be the sole managers of this complex. So at the end of this year, we're onboarding 30 new apartments in this unit. And we knew this was coming 2 years ago. So we knew that we had to up our game. And that was the main drive for us to think, right, we need to scale our software, we need to scale our operating tools, we need to look out to what the world has to offer. And it happens that that's when we went to our first scale event, and that was the motivation to discover, learn, and meet and just generally scale. And it's been very, very positive. Everything that's come from going to the scale event and meeting all the people helped us enormously.
Amongst all the things you did to scale your business, what is the most important thing, the most essential? You say, wow, this was the game changer, something that, as you said, you scale up slowly and you realize that during the scaling process, you need to improve. What is the key thing that you improved to say, wow, this made everything different since day one?
It's difficult to name one thing. I think it's just a combination. I think it's a mindset, the mindset of going from thinking of yourself as just a small little property operator and realizing that actually, yes, you do look after quite a few properties. And so you have to think differently. In my case, learning to delegate was a major step because I was involved in every single aspect. But that was a major step when I delegated the bookings to a staff member. That made an enormous difference because it freed me up to think strategically and growth and development. The booking software, we've had the same since we started. And it has evolved, but not at the pace that I think we're taking us where we want to go. So we are in the process at the moment of switching over to Avantio from our booking software. So that's a big step. We knew we wanted to streamline our operational management system. And so we took the step of trying a task management software last May, I think it was, of last year. One software called Paspas, which sounded good. And then at am I allowed to say it? But I met the lovely people of Yagul at the VRWS, last year. And so that was the game changer. We hooked up with Yagul last autumn, and having started with this other software, we were doing through all of the onboarding, and I came home from the event and I said, guys, stop, we're switching to this new company. So I was not very popular, but we're in the process of doing this at the moment. And I think a combination of Avantio, Iago, and we're also looking at changing over to Beyond for the dynamic pricing. I think that combo will help us enormously to scale and to optimize the processes, the marketing reach, the efficiencies, and also the profitability, because we've reached a point where I think technology and the market has changed. In our area, the market has become extremely competitive. The stats from Airbnb is that we had a 95% increase in the portfolio of properties in the last 2 years, which is amazing. So loads of people have decided, ooh, renting in the Alps is a good idea. I'll put my property up for rental. So we started off with a client base or a market presence. And now we have to work doubly hard and to be even better and always better to achieve the same turnover and expect, or if we want to hope to improve it. So yeah, it's a big challenge. So we need to scale. We need to do these steps if we want to be able to survive. It's survival, really. We can't stay as we are.
If you, I feel that you remember, but what were the most important milestones when you scale up your business? Can you, like, let's say, the 2 or 3 more important milestones you reached scaling up your business?
I think it was the staff. We used to do everything ourselves, and realizing that you had to compartmentalize. So when we designated someone as a property manager, that really helped us, because all of a sudden we could have someone who was focused solely on making sure that the properties were clean and serviced and operational, while others were dealing with the marketing, with the bookings, etc. When you're doing everything at the same time, it gets to a point where you can't be efficient, and you miss things, and there starts being problems. So the scaling in terms of the staff, that was a big step, and then the implementing of tools like even WhatsApp groups. I mean, that was an enormous step that enabled us to be a bit more efficient. Again, compartmentalizing everything, the operational, the bookings, the marketing. We've always had the same software, so things have grown gradually. There's not been a point where we onboarded a new system. We tried different channel management solutions. So yes, we opened up ourselves to different portals. Airbnb was a big step when our software was able to provide a channel with Airbnb and these other booking portals. That definitely was a big step, because we went from just relying on our regular clients, and just as a side note, we have a direct booking rate of about 60-65%. So we have a lot of very, very faithful customers, some of which have been coming to our properties for 20 plus years, and they come every year. So that is very precious. We're very conscious that we're a bit unique in that sense, because not many markets have that kind of regularity. Myself, I'm surprised at why people come to the same apartment or the same area every single year. I mean, the world is so big, there's so many things to explore, but they do.
Because they feel home, I feel, no?
Yeah, I think it's there's also, I think, without wanting to sound proud, I think we offer a good service. And what's very nice is that people say, look, what have you got this year? What's new? So they're not coming to the same property, they're coming to us. And they know that the service is going to be the same, whichever property it is, and we're always going to have reasonably good properties. So that is lovely. That is really very
Congratulations.
nice.
Congratulations. This result is really amazing for a property manager, because having recurring customer is not easy, especially, I mean, if you work in a big city, having recurring customers coming over and over is not usual, but this kind of destination is really important, and retaining people coming over and over, this is really good. So this is the part of the interview that I love more, is what are the error. So what in your journey, what is the thing that you say, this was a complete disaster. I would like to start it over if I could.
I think how long do we have?
No, one, the biggest.
One thing that's often comes up is we're too kind. And I think we passed up revenue streams and in terms of pricing opportunities so many times, because when we see other businesses operate, because we didn't start off with a business focus, it wasn't born out of a business plan. We surely wasted a lot of time, a lot of years by not generating as much income from our portfolio as we could have done. Spending time, servicing the properties, looking after them, doing errands, etc., not charging for what we do, going above and beyond, available 24/7 with our guests, offering way more services than we probably should, and not charging any premium or not, getting any income really for that level of service. Yes, it helped with our notoriety and establishing us as being the friendly, the lovely people that people worked with or loved working with. But we didn't generate the revenue stream, which would have given us extra possibilities in terms of staffing, in terms of marketing budget, in terms of possibly onboarding new tools. We were always on the edge, and I think that is probably, looking back, I would definitely have a much more business sense from the get-go. Make sure that part of things is well organized.
And on the contrary, what was the biggest win during the scale-up of your business?
I think the staffing decisions, having the right people doing the right jobs, all of a sudden that made such a big impact, and all of a sudden you feel you can take new properties on, whereas you're on the edge, and that staffing can make such a difference beyond the little things like a WhatsApp group or stuff like that. But I think it's the staffing, whether it's the cleaning teams. When you've got a cleaning team that really performs, you think, wow, I can take on more properties, and you feel they're a partner and you can grow with them. So I think, I would pin it down to the people, which have made the most impact.
And my very last question, and then I'll let you go. What are the goals for your business in the next few years?
Making sure that things like Avantio, Beyond, and Iago fully integrate and really seamless. I think that's my main focus at the moment, is making sure that those tools really work, really perform, and these steps that we're putting in place will generate extra revenue streams, which will possibly enable us to hire an extra person. And my ultimate goal is to possibly be able to step back a bit from the operational side, because I feel when I'm too involved, things don't move. So I think that's the objective, is to be able to step back a bit more, put a bit of fresh blood in the whole operation, because I still have the mindset of when we started, and sometimes it serves us well, but sometimes being that friendly person that the owner feels he can call and ask for loads of services is not good, and calling someone up in the team who is completely oblivious to that past, and who can say, yeah, we can do that, and it'll cost you this much. So being able to have a bit of a fresh outlook, I think is necessary. So I'm very excited to see all the things that we can gain from Avantio, Beyond, and Iago, and also working with smart lock systems and things like that. Just using those to streamline our process and help us to be even more friendly, even more helpful with our guests, but do it in a much more efficient way. That's my focus in the next couple of years. And I think it'll get to a point where our portfolio will probably have reached its peak. There's only so many properties you can manage. But when it gets to that sweet spot, things are rolling, and things are smooth, then who knows, selling the business or being able to let the team run it, and I can then focus on other things.
David, thank you very much. I hope your
you.
season will end up very positively with positive numbers.
Yeah.
And see you soon.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.